There's almost no aid going to Appalachia, and we might know why. So for context, Hurricane Helene victims can apply for $750 in natural disaster assistance, or possibly more, online, which everyone has after a hurricane. And just know that if you're insured, that's not a donation, it's a loan that you gotta pay back or the feds can seize your property. And even though FEMA claims to be going door to door, the people don't see them, and even if they do, they're in the way.
We haven't seen FEMA, we haven't seen Red Cross, we haven't seen Hearts with Hands. Most people drive through with their cameras out, filming us like we're animals in a zoo.
We don't necessarily go door to door.
Do not say you're bringing stuff to aid us because they're turning you around.
I went to put a couple of people into a hotel last night, and they have a security guard at the hotel, and they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. The entire hotel has been booked for federal employees." And I was like, no, I have people that would just pull it out of a mountain that are living out in the hills, and there's not a place for me to put them because we have federal employees that are staying in the hotel.
And despite being the deadliest storm to hit the mainland U.S. since Katrina, at least looking at the New York Times articles, the media coverage is way less. And while there were tons of Katrina articles criticizing the Bush admin, none of the Helene articles criticized the Biden-Harris admin. Secretary Mayorkas said, "We don't have the funds for hurricane victims." Even though in 2023 alone, we spent over $66 billion on illegal immigration, roughly $9,000 per migrant. In 2024 alone, we gave many countries hundreds of millions to billions of dollars in aid. And since 2021, we've accidentally funneled over $200 million to the Taliban. So it really seems like there is no attempt to save the region from devastation. Why? North Carolina is home to the two largest high-purity quartz mines in the world that supply the quartz for the world's computer chips, and the mining company, Sibelco, wanted to expand the mines, but the residents of the town, to protect the environment, said no. North Carolina is also home to some of the largest lithium deposits and two of the largest lithium companies, Albemarle and Piedmont. And even though lithium's abundant and cheap, the U.S. wants to reduce our foreign dependence for lithium, so the U.S. government gave both companies grants to expand their mines, despite some protests from the residents. But then Helene devastated the whole region, and when that happens, opportunistic companies go to the victims and offer them barely any cash for their properties, and the people take the deal because they have nothing. So the mining companies get all of that land for cheap, and with most of their valuable resources preserved underground, and with their expanded mining rights, they get a huge net profit. And it kind of seems like our government is clearing a path to allow those companies to get the land. Why? It may be related to the automation boom. For example, electric vehicles need lithium, and since the Biden admin is adamant about increasing electric vehicles, there's a huge incentive for increasing domestic lithium production. And lithium, along with high-purity quartz, is used in AI technologies, and with the tons of AI projects happening all the time, these resources are in high demand. The AI company Cerebras wants to build 3 interconnected AI supercomputers in the US, each built with 64 giant chips. That's a lot of quartz. And since the future is AI, the nation with the best AI will control the world. This is the modern-day arms race. This was a land grab. Our government took advantage of a natural disaster by putting in minimal theatrical effort to save the land, giving the mining companies the opportunity to come in and buy up all of the land around the quartz and lithium deposits so that we can have our own supply of high-purity quartz and lithium to be technologically competitive and increase our global power. But even if the land grab is the end goal, why is FEMA allegedly blocking aid? Why the hundreds of reports of FEMA blocking or threatening private citizens who want to help the people? And this isn't the first time. In another land grab last year, the residents wanted to preserve Lahaina, so they fended off investors for years. But once the fire destroyed the town, the investors bought everything. And to help, FEMA offered each affected household $700. The police didn't sound off the sirens to warn people about the fire. They didn't let people in to help, and the one road out of West Maui was barricaded. Police were redirecting people back into town, so the people that survived were the ones that got around the barricades and made it to the highway driving or on foot. Now, the incentives for the land grabs are clear, but what is the incentive to harm the people? Because it isn't that the government just didn't care enough to help. They cared enough to stop private aid. It has nothing to do with people's politics. Most of Appalachia is red and most of Lahaina is blue. It has nothing to do with race. Most of Appalachia is white and most of Lahaina is native or mixed. I don't know. But we do know that monetary interest trumps any regard for human life without discrimination. And when the government gets too big and powerful and gets to decide who gets what resources, all those Americans heroically helping their fellow man get blocked. We have equity. We all get equally nothing, except the aristocracy who gets everything. We the people are supposed to be protected by a document to largely govern ourselves, but unless we defend it, it's just paper. So do not comply, do not give up, and fight.